This video is sponsored by Surfshark VPN. Welcome. This video features 10 of the most disturbing 4chan posts I was able to find. Some of these are super old and receive some coverage either in news outlets, videos, or other forums, but I'll try to go more in depth, show new perspectives, and provide more information. Originally, 13 topics were planned for this episode, but they were too sensitive to be covered on YouTube. I was considering uploading an extended version of this video on Patreon, but I'm unsure if you are interested. Let me know in the comments. I'm planning on releasing similar videos in the future, so if you don't want to miss them, make sure to subscribe. Anyway, I hope you enjoy. In the beginning of June 2013, a guy named UTV was very active on the sports board on 4chan. His real name is Phil. He was really into football according to his posts. However, there was one more person that had an unhealthy obsession with UTV. Their real name remains unknown, but anons call him the Archiver. You'll understand soon enough why. Sooner or later, UTV realized that this anonymous user was pretty odd. He called him obsessed and claims that he just wants attention. The Archiver had a few interactions with UTV which lasted several months. His last interaction was posted on TRB. It reads, quote, "I've been with UTV for 255 threads. This is the last one. My parents have discovered my UTV works, and they have insisted I remove everything of the type from my computer and be done with it. They'll be monitoring my activities now to make sure I cannot do it anymore. They've given me a day to remove everything, and this is my final message. I'm sorry to UTV and hope he sees and understands. I have one more gift to share with him. This 97-page document contains every personal work I have created that involves UTV in any way. It is for him. I don't want anyone else to read it. However, I cannot stop you from doing so. These 255 threads have each been amazing, and I'll never forget them. Goodbye." And he wasn't lying. He literally created a 97-page PDF obsessing over a random guy on 4chan. No joke. Initially, I was convinced that this is a troll, but after taking a second look, I'm unsure. It's so elaborate and sophisticated that one has a hard time believing that this was created with the intent to troll someone. Let me go through the main parts of the PDF. On the first page, he explains his intentions. It reads, quote, "Why am I doing this? Because UTV is my passion, my hobby, and my social life. I love him, and I love archiving his posts. Nothing can top the feel, the incredible happiness which I get when I see him post. That feeling of sliding a post of his into the collage when it fits perfectly. It's like playing Tetris, but instead of blocks, I have funny, intelligent, wisdom-filled, and witty posts. Writing about him will only feed my appetite for UTV. Archiving his posts isn't enough. They are my bread and my butter, but this is the salt and pepper on the sandwich that spices it up." On the later pages, he shares his poems and song parodies for UTV. There are actually so many pages where he either writes a song, a poem, or a short story about UTV. It's just insane. He also shared funeral plans when UTV passes away, even creating a funeral layout. On this page, he shares his plans for moving in with UTV. yet again creating a layout, this time of their apartment. It goes without saying that no one wants to be a victim of cyber stalking. One way to prevent this from happening is by using a VPN, which brings us to today's sponsor, Surfshark VPN. I've been using Surfshark for almost half a year myself and am super satisfied. It's definitely one of the best, if not the best VPN on the current market. For those that are unaware, what even is a VPN? A virtual private network, or short VPN, is the first step to a more anonymous online presence. If you, for instance, live in Australia, you can change your virtual footprint to the US or Germany or to anywhere else. It also can be used to bypass geo-blocks and government restrictions. If you, for instance, want to use streaming services like Amazon Prime or Netflix at their full capacity, you can gain access to all of their shows by changing your location through a VPN. Surfshark also has an unlimited connections policy, meaning that you can use it in all of your devices. Currently, Surfshark offers an 83% discount and 4 months for free if you use my link down below and my promo code Eudoxia. Thanks again to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Since the archiver cannot actually get in contact with UTV in real life, he decides to create various techniques to make himself feel closer to him. He labels certain food in his house which belongs to UTV. He wants to invent a doormat with posts of UTV's haters, so he can wipe his feet on him when he exits his home. And further, he wants to invent a belt with UTV posts. The reasoning for that is that whenever he leaves his house, he may miss UTV too much, and the post may make him miss him less. He also considers going around and handing homeless people UTV posts that include positive messages. His intention is that they could receive some joy by reading a UTV post. It's honestly so absurd that it's almost funny, not gonna lie. He also made numerous YouTube videos about UTV. The videos aren't available anymore, but in one of the archive 4chan threads, one add-on mentions that he actually broke into UTV's house, but no idea if it's true. He decided to create a ransom note by using words that UTV himself used. Under the note, he described what he would do with UTV when he decides to kidnap him. Quote, "I would keep him in my bathroom. This way he would be hidden and unable to make much noise. He would also be able to see my naked body without feeling creeped out, or like I am trying to make sexual advances on him. I wouldn't be making any advances, but seeing my naked body would be good for him to get to know who I am. I'd likely feed him meat and sandwiches and joke about it being annoyed cat food or simulated skunk meat, because this would calm him down and make him feel at ease. Of course, I'd be bluffing and would never allow any harm to come to my dearest treasure." In the last few pages, he literally timestamped every single interaction he had with UTV. He did this for every single day. While most of the PDF is extremely bizarre and disturbing, this one, for instance, was pretty funny. I don't know, it was just unexpected. Here he says, quote, "The following are UTV's responses to my posts within Football Manager threads. I don't respond directly to him often, as I prefer to watch from afar, as I do in my personal life, and I don't want him feeling he has to impress me. However, sometimes it is impossible to resist speaking to him. He is a naked woman, and I must have a peek." As you can see, his responses to me are generally good-natured banter with humorous intention that show the sweet, tender relationship that we share together, the height of which was the 100th anniversary we celebrated as a coupling. He then proceeds to show his interactions with UTV. And yeah, he calls it generally good-natured banter, which honestly made me laugh when I saw the interactions. It seems like a troll, but the rest of the PDF is just completely disturbing. It's so elaborate, sophisticated, and just plain insane that it must be real.
On the 23rd of November 2007, an 18-year-old girl by the name of Emily Sander was reported missing in her hometown of Olathe, Kansas. 6 days later, her dead body was found 50 miles away from El Dorado. Investigators refused to give any details to the media on how her body was found or the condition of the body. Emily Sander's death at the time led to significant immediate attention. In fact, she was an internet adult model under the name Zoe Zane and hosted a website to increase her popularity. However, one crucial piece of evidence seemed to be missing. How had the investigators found the body? The answer seemed to lie at one of the most popular boards of 4chan, the random board. In 2007, someone created a post on 4chan posting a picture of Emily Sanders. He further added the quote, "If anyone can correctly guess their own post number, I'll tell you where she's buried." As usual, Anons played along, probably thinking that it was some kind of troll. After 9 minutes, somebody actually managed to guess their own post number. The OP delivered on their promise, sharing a few coordinates. The location led 50 miles outside of El Dorado in Kansas. His post was posted on a Thursday at 1 PM. After 1 hour and 20 minutes, investigators found the body of the missing college student Emily Sanders. Everything lines up. The coordinates match with the location of the body of the victim according to a news article. The body was also found after the OP made his post. So the OP was not creating a post after the news coverage. The FBI managed to identify the person who had posted the picture. The perpetrator is Israel Miles. He was arrested in Mexico 3 years later in 2010. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. In normal circumstances, he would have received the death penalty due to the extremely gruesome nature of this case. But Mexico requires that authorities submit the most serious charges that the suspect could face, and will not allow extradition to the United States for someone who could face the death penalty.
This is a pretty strange and fairly recent case. While I won't refer to a specific 4chan post regarding this topic, it still is strongly connected to 4chan and groups of people that frequent 4chan. In 2019, a 19-year-old girl named Bianca Devins was frequenting some 4chan boards like SOC or FA and was also using Discord to connect with people. She met a guy there named Brandon Clark. Brandon tried to get into a relationship with Bianca, but she refused and basically friend-zoned him. However, that didn't stop Brandon. He was constantly stalking her on social media. People called him an incel, or rather an orbit. The term orbit or orbiting could be unfamiliar, so here's an explanation on Urban Dictionary. Quote, "When someone who won't speak to you otherwise still watches every snap on your story, IG and or likes your posts. Usually someone who has ghosted you, but not always. Basically, they are lingering in your life despite refusing to be an active part in it in any other capacity." This doesn't fully apply to Brandon, since he also was a part of her life, but he definitely was an extremely obsessive cyber stalker. Anyway, Brandon and Bianca decided to meet up at a concert. There, they met another guy named Alex. Bianca was making out with Alex, which Brandon definitely didn't like seeing. So, he decided to grab his knife and stab her in the throat multiple times. She was nearly decapitated. He filmed everything and made a few stories on Instagram and decided to share images on Discord. The caption reads, quote, "Sorry fuckers, you're gonna have to find somebody else to orbit." Then he also asked people to sub to PewDiePie and blames Alex for his actions. The image was spread across the entire internet multiple times and can still be easily found. Additionally, he made a few more Instagram stories. Here he's in his car and the caption says, "Here comes hell. It's redemption, right?" Later he called the police on himself. He tried ending himself but failed and consequently was sentenced to 25 years in prison. While this case is very tragic, there are a bunch of people to this day that make fun of Bianca. On her Instagram, for instance, someone writes, quote, "Missing that bomb-ass head you gave me." Or this one, "Does anyone want the pictures?" There were a bunch of comments like these. If I were to guess, I'd say it's mostly frustrated men, specifically from the incel community, that are typing these comments. Brandon is even seen as a hero in the incel community. They argue that Bianca was a horrible person, playing with everyone's feelings. People share chat logs to convince others that she deserved it. Bianca's mother, on the other hand, claims that a person was impersonating Bianca to fake screenshots. After this, she received messages and images of her daughter. One reads, quote, "She got what was coming to her. At least I got some enjoyment out of the end of her worthless existence." For this case, there isn't a specific post, but it still is directly connected to 4chan. Ruben Braithwaite was consuming a lot of very graphic and disturbing content, such as beheadings on 4chan. He was fascinated by the content, which led to him being desensitized. Well, this led to a very tragic incident.
Ruben Braithwaite was adopted by his stepmother at the age of 12. His stepmother saw a lot of potential in him. She loved and took good care of him. At the age of 17, Ruben lured his stepmother out of her house and knocked her out with an axe. He then took his samurai sword and sliced her neck open. He then took pictures of his stepmother and tried to upload them onto 4chan. Thankfully, he was already banned, so the pictures were never shared. He was sentenced to 15 years in prison. He would have gotten 25 years if he was an adult at the time of the crime taking place. In later interviews, Ruben claimed that he felt convinced to do it. He was fed up with life and needed to feel something again.
This is a very interesting one since it's very mysterious and remains unsolved to this date. In 2015, OP started a very disturbing quote-unquote game. He states that he took the lives of multiple women for pleasure. If Anons managed to correctly guess the names of his victims, he'll post an image of him. He gave a restriction beforehand, 10 names per post, any more than that and it will be ignored. If Anons guess all of the names, he will provide the location of a dumped body in 1999. To show that he's serious, he attached an image. Anons obviously played along, trying to guess a correct name. Someone did, so OP provided, sharing an image containing a female. Interestingly, he even had a piece of paper with a timestamp behind the images to confirm that he indeed is the person that made the images. Additionally, a reverse image search was done with the initial image of OP. A few Anons claim that the woman shown in the images is Shauna Maynard. In 1998, her body was found in a roadway. She was 17 at the time of the occurrence. However, this was debunked by police. While the police did not elaborate, the Las Vegas police told Action News that it appears to be a hoax and is not valid. The lieutenant also said, quote, "The family suddenly gets thrust back into the mix of these type of terrible emotions. They may, start relieving the trauma of this, and it's just really a horrible thing to do." It shows that someone really doesn't have any type of conscience whatsoever. The cruelty of that is beyond belief. I mean, if you think about how the woman's family has been suffering for all of these years. Further, the images that OP shared definitely were made for private reasons, since they did not resemble crime scene situations. It was very likely that OP is the one that took their lives. Anons didn't really hesitate and called the FBI and shared the conversation.
Hello. I don't know if I was confused. I don't know if I pressed 1, 2, or 3. Anyway, I have information regarding an individual who was killed a long time ago named Shauna Maynard. It was posted on a website called 4chan that someone claimed that they had killed several women within the last few years, and then posted several different pictures, very graphic pictures, and then people on the website thought it was very strange, and they managed to identify one of the victims as Shauna Maynard. So,
OP made another post sharing an additional image, this time a male, and added the caption, "Dying, dying." After this, he shared one more image from a different perspective, showing the body of the same male. Some guessed that the male could be George Tony Sandoval. His remains have been recovered in 2020, but no one knows who the perpetrator is. OP finished off the post by stating that he'll return in a month's time to finish our game. However, to this day, he never continued. There were numerous investigation threads on XMB, but as far as we know, OP was never caught and the investigation ended without any additional results. In 2013, a college student named Neil Macinnis made a post on B. It's one of the strangest posts on 4chan. It reads, quote, "Hey B, it's time. My name is Neil Macinnis and I go to New River Community College in Christiansburg, Virginia. 10 minutes away from Virginia Tech. I'm gonna give you all the details cause the news never gets it right. Stevens 320 shotgun. Buckshots and slugs. Wanna listen? If this link doesn't work, search New River Valley Public Safety. I'm a bit nervous because I've never really handled a gun, but a few times with the Christiansburg police. Anyway, this is not a high scores game, but actually a lesson. That's why I'm at school. Wanna see my e-portfolio or what I look like? Make sure there's a slash at the end before clicking on the link. Also, the picture is related. I'm at school writing this. Wish me luck." 3 minutes after this was posted on the 12th of April 2013, a gunman opened fire with a shotgun at a satellite campus at the New River Valley Mall in Christiansburg, Virginia. That's the exact location that OP described. 2 women were wounded. An off-duty security guard and 2 police officers subdued OP. The suspect is Neil Allen Macinnis, 18 years old at the time of his arrest and a resident of Christiansburg. Macinnis was convicted of 2 counts of malicious wounding and 2 counts of the use of a firearm during the commission of a felony, and was held without bond. He was sentenced to 38 years in prison. Looking back at his post, it seems like a joke for him. He even says that it's not a high score game, but rather a lesson since he's in school. He makes a mockery out of the entire situation. Around 2010, someone named Rachel Wissner made a post on 4chan. In this post, she asked Anons to buy her pizza. In return, she would post nudes of herself. The Anons delivered. They bought her what she desired. However, Rachel didn't provide. Instead, she uploaded an image of herself holding up a piece of paper. Written was, "I lied, not giving you tits. Now GTFO." She then moved to Facebook, praising herself how she managed to troll 4chan. Expectedly, 4chan wasn't amused. Around 15 to 20 minutes later, someone posted this. It's a complete dox. Her name, her address, job, friends, and family. All of this info was now in the hands of Anons. I think that's probably one of the most terrifying things ever. On Facebook, Rachel shared that she wants to fly to Africa. On the day of her flight, Anons called in, reporting an alleged bomb threat. They claimed that Rachel was the perpetrator. After this, they threatened Rachel with additional blackmailing, which forced Rachel to give the Anons what they desired. She posted a picture of herself online, which also wasn't the smartest idea. Some Anons immediately sent the image to her father. In the end, her reputation was completely ruined, but there is a lack of further information. I guess after a while she managed to move on. This is another very old topic. On the 25th of August 2009, OP posted an image of a grenade asking the following. It seems kinda old, but looks okay to me. What would B do with it? While this post seemed real, a few people put OP to the test. They asked him to show the bottom of it, which he did. Then he lit it on fire, confirming that it indeed was the real deal. He then was considering to toss it in the toilet. An hour later, it happened. Oscar Lopez Ortega, 17 years old, was found dead after an explosion was reported inside his home. Police units reached the scene at 8:45 p.m. The home is located in Zone 2, Modern Neighborhood, near Carmen Hill. However, the news article shown here is not really searchable. Multiple people tried to look this up, but no one found anything. Some speculate that this could have been fabricated. However, the backlogged news on the website seemed to taper off at September 2009, so the article could have existed, but may have vanished over time. The time frames line up, so it could have happened. Or this entire thing is a hoax. I guess we'll never know for certain. This one is from 2013 and was shared in the technology board. It included an image of a naked guy in a cage beneath a bed. While this seems really off, the Anon shared a pretty detailed description. Before I read it out, let me define two words that might seem unfamiliar. The word NEET stands for not in education, employment, or training. In Japan, this classification comprises people aged between 15 and 34 who are unemployed, not engaged in housework, not enrolled in school or work-related training, and not seeking work. Hiki is fairly similar. Hiki is an abbreviated form of the word hikikomori. It is the abnormal avoidance of social contact, typically by young males. The description of this image reads, quote, "A few months ago, I invited a NEET boy to come and live with me. He was more of a hickey, but couldn't get autism bugs. I'm also NEET, but my parents are rich, and I was able to offer him anything he wanted. But in return, he had to live with me and take female hormone injections, as well as take care of himself and dress in cute clothes. As of now, he's pretty happy. I buy him lots of things and the hormone treatment is going good. As you can see, his skin is becoming very soft and he's gaining weight in all of the right places. He has a pretty good collection of figurines in his little space under my bed." There was no more information shared after this post. While this seems fairly authentic, keep in mind that this is 4chan. A few Anons reacted to this post. No one thought that this post was real. I tried to dig up more information and find some discussions or investigations, but this topic is so old that most of it either has been wiped off the internet or there were no discussions to begin with. This could be fake, but I couldn't find anything or anyone debunking this. What do you think? Is it staged, faked, or is there some truth to it? This is probably the most well-known case out of everything mentioned in this video. In 2014, a user shared an image of a body with the following caption: "Turns out it's way harder to strangle someone than it looks in the movies." He shared another image, stating, quote, "She fought so damn hard." Anons reacted to the post, not really buying it. To prove to everyone that this entire thing is indeed real, he shared one last comment. Here he asked Anons to keep an eye on the news in Washington. He further adds, quote, "Her son will be home from school soon. He'll find her, then call the cops. I just wanted to share the pics before they find me. I understand the doubts. Just check the news. I have to lose my phone now." An hour after the post, the son called police after discovering the body of his mother. David Kalac, the OP of this thread, later turned himself in. He was sentenced to 82 years in prison. The neighbors also started a GoFundMe to help the son, but it has now been taken offline. And that's it. On a different note, I also have a Twitter, Instagram, and a Discord server. Feel free to join me there as well. I also want to thank my patrons. Specifically, I want to thank Lindsay, Arvin, Adrian Halcrow, 44, Crab, Ellie Bueno, Solar9, Foster Bradley, Dayscase, Santino Sierra, James Baker, Halo Hall, Angelica Marie Clark, Spooky Dulcet, Ahem KH, Bodhi, Vacuamente, Elsie Rabel, Victor, Synchro, Blankface, Pat Weed, Jen, Billy Racine, Brandon, Sophie Baber, McCheese, Babylon Lion, Bodhisattva, James Harrington, Melinda Elston, Diana Tiba, Kayla Noel, MG, Steffi Muse, Clint York, Tasha Shumo, Peach X, Lost Carcosa, Alexander, Olivia Egg, Ruth Oldfather, and Mark Anthony. I'll see you next time. Take care and goodbye.